Beyond the sport and lux, the basics of the Aston Martin Vantage GTS should be more than familiar at this point. Under the skin is Aston's vertical-horizontal architecture, the same underpinnings as the Rapide and Vanquish, not to mention the much-loved DB9. Placed in the nose is the same mid-mounted naturally aspirated 4.7-liter V8 we've grown accustomed to, which makes a matching 430 horsepower and 361 pound-feet of torque. Given the GTS is more or less a stopgap model, it's not surprising Aston was hands-off when it came to tuning the power plant. However, it should be noted that the Vantage's replacement will get a twin-turbo 4.0-liter V8 from Mercedes-AMG, framing the GTS as the last chance at owning the unboosted 4.7-liter. Routing the power to the rear axle will be either a 7-speed single-clutch automatic, or a 6-speed manual gearbox. Aston is also including its next-generation AMI 3 infotainment system, which promises to be a significant upgrade over the current system. The Aston Martin Vantage will be replaced by an all-new model next year, but that doesn't mean the current car will slowly fade away into the history books. Aston has introduced a limited edition Vantage variant called GT8 that's brimming with performance-oriented features borrowed from its Lemons program. The GT8 is to the V8 powered Vantage what the sold-out GT12 was to the V12 equipped model. It uses an evolution of the regular Vantage's naturally aspirated 4.7-liter V8 engine massaged to pump out 446 horsepower, about 25 more than stock. Rear-wheel drive is the only configuration available, but buyers can choose between a 6-speed manual transmission and a 7-speed automatic unit controlled by shift paddles. The GT8 weighs about 220 pounds less than the regular V8 Vantage, and it stands out as the lightest and most powerful V8 Vantage Aston Martin has ever built. As expected, the drivetrain also received a fair share of updates, starting with a massaged V12 engine. The big 5.9-liter has been upgraded to deliver 592 horsepower, which is the exact same output of the limited edition Vanquish Zagato. So what Aston Martin did here was to update the standard Vanquish to Zagato specs under the hood, which is a cool thing to do. Compared to the outgoing model, the Vanquish S benefits from an extra 24 horsepower, while torque remained unchanged at 465 pound-feet. Thanks to the extra oomph, the Grand Tourer is 10th second quicker from 0 to 62 miles per hour, needing 3.5 ticks instead 3.6, but top speed remained unchanged at 201 miles per hour, which is nothing to complain about really. The calibration of the 8-speed Touchtronic 3 transmission has also been revised and now delivers faster gearshifts and greater refinement at low speeds. The chassis received retuned suspension, damper internals, spring rates, and anti-roll bar bushes for a more aggressive behavior in sporty setups. On the other hand, comfort is still a given as Aston Martin claims this was achieved without compromising the car's ability to deliver supple ride quality on demand. Aston Martin has only ever offered the V12 Vantage S with a 7-speed single-clutch automated manual from Graziano. The 2017 V12 Vantage S has that same gearbox, but with a very obvious change. The paddles are gone, replaced by a shift lever and a third pedal. It took a lot of work for it to happen since this may be the first time that an automated manual has been made into a true manual. But the best part of this car is the drivetrain. The 5.9-liter V12 is the last of its kind, no turbos, start-stop, cylinder deactivation, or other fuel-saving tech here. This is just pure gas-guzzling feel-goodery that ascends to the rev range heavens with absolutely no issue. It also feels totally different than a V12 from Ferrari or Lamborghini. Those engines can be manic, shouty, ferocious. The Aston's power delivery is smoother and feels more dignified, more baritone than hyper-soprano. But it still makes 565 HP, which, if you were thinking otherwise, is a considerable amount of power. The Vantage will hit 60 in 3.9 seconds and a top speed of 205, the same as its paddle-shifted brother. Under the long hood of the DB11 lurks a newly developed, 5.2-liter V12. The twin-turbocharged mill cranks out 600 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque, a 97 horsepower and 59 pound-feet increase over the DB9 larger, naturally aspirated 6.0-liter V12. The new powerplant's mates to the already traditional 8-speed ZF automatic gearbox, but with certain modifications to suit the new setup. With this drivetrain, the DB11 needs 3.9 seconds to charge from 0 to 62 miles per hour, on its way to a top speed of 200 miles per hour. These figures make it 0.7 seconds quicker and 17 miles per hour faster than the DB9. The DB11 is also more dynamic than its predecessor thanks to its new generation chassis, suspension, steering, and electronics. Multiple driver selectable modes allow the driver to use GT, Sport, or Sport Plus settings, while the new electric power steering and torque vectoring system deliver greater agility. This is where Aston Martin's Track Day special stands out even more. Although the teaser videos made it clear that the Vulcan features a V12 powerplant, the company's racing division went ahead and increased the engine's displacement from the standard 5.9 to a massive 7.0 liters. The end result is an output that blows past the 800 horsepower mark, but actual figures won't be released until the Vulcan's track debut later in 2015. With more than 800 ponies at its disposal, the track-prepped Aston Martin should take less than 3 seconds to reach 60 miles per hour from a standing start and reach a top speed in excess of 200 miles per hour. Power travels to the pavement through a mid-mounted, Strac, 6-speed sequential transmission with paddles behind the steering wheel. The Vulcan is also equipped with a limited slip differential and a magnesium torque tube with a carbon fiber drive shaft. The Q by Aston Martin division creates bespoke versions of standard models at the request of customers, including this Vantage GT12 Roadster. Uniquely, Aston Martin says that this project is the first that has harnessed the full power and potential of the company's Q division. Previous projects have been noticeably more tame. Based closely on the Vantage GT12 Coupe, which was formerly known as the Vantage GT3 until Porsche objected, the Vantage GT12 Roadster features the same 600 horsepower version of the hardtop's V12 engine. Likewise, the Roadster also utilizes the brand's single-clutch 7-speed Sport Shift 3 gearbox with shift paddles and its full titanium exhaust system. The GT12 Roadster's body has been conceived of carbon fiber, aside from its stowable cloth roof, of course. Don't look for a production Vantage GT12 Roadster anytime soon. Just 100 examples of the hardtop were built, and this is likely to be the only convertible unless, of course, another special customer steps up to place an order with the Q division. The 2016 Aston Martin Rapide S is a stunning piece of automotive artwork, but don't let that beautiful exterior fool you, it can still get down to the business of brisk grand touring work, too. The 5.9-liter AM29 V12 engine under the long hood makes 552 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. That enables the Rapide S to vault to 60 miles per hour in just 4.2 seconds and carry on to a top speed of 203 miles per hour. Aston Martin says the 8-speed automatic added last year improves gas mileage by about 13 to 16%. EPA ratings are 14 mpg city, 22 highway, 17 combined. Unlike the Porsche Panamera, which gives up a little in the roofline to get a lot of space in the back seat, the Rapide S is slender and lithe at the expense of rear passengers. With taller occupants up front, we can't imagine many adults will be comfortable in the back, and we consider the Rapide to be a 2+2 Grand Tourer with a second set of doors to help entry and exit. The 2016 Lagonda Tariff is built on the aluminum-intensive VH architecture that underpins the Aston Martin DB9 Coupe and the Rapide sedan. In simple terms, it's a Rapide with a 7.9-inch wheelbase stretch and more formal roofline, clad in unique carbon fiber body panels. Under the hood is a 540 HP version of the 6.0-liter V12 that dates back to 1999 and the glory days of Ford-era Aston Martin. Starting life conceptually, at least as a couple of Ford Duratec 3.0-liter V6 joined together, the Aston V12 is still built in a bespoke facility at Ford's Neil engine plant in Cologne, Germany. Connected via a torque tube to an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission mounted between the rear wheels, the engine develops peak power at 6,650 RPM and peak torque of 465 lb-ft at 5,500 RPM. Though the guys at Aston Martin claim a 0-60 mph time of about 4.4 seconds and a top speed of just over 195 miles per hour. Aston Martin has existed for over a century, and in that time certain characteristics have been as consistent as the Earth's rotation. Passionate design, exceptional performance, premium materials. If you purchased an Aston Martin, you knew these features came standard on anything wearing the winged patch. Other traits, however, have been less than consistent over the past 102 years. The precision and consistency of Aston Martin build quality often reflected the financial atmosphere under which some cars were produced, and both have wavered at various points in the automaker's history. The 6.0-liter V12 engine is more powerful, making the leap from last year's 510 horsepower to this year's 540. Additional horsepower is never a bad thing, but it's the DB9 GT's delivery of those 540 horses that raises the car's game for 2016. Throttle response is quick and consistent, delivering rapid forward movement accompanied by Aston Martin's trademark V12 exhaust bluster. With 458 pound-feet of torque at its disposal, the DB9 GT can hit 60 miles per hour in 4.4 seconds and a top speed of 183 miles per hour. And like the engine's throttle response, the rear-mounted 6-speed automatic transmission executes shifts quicker and more precisely than we recall, giving the Grand Tourer an even more refined demeanor than it's had in years past.